Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to another video. This is a reaction to if you grew up in the 1970s, you remember this, Life in America. And yeah, it's another one of these videos. As you know by now, I find these really fascinating because it's from an era that I don't know much about in terms of, I guess, life growing up and stuff, and probably a lot of things as well. But yeah, we're just going to check this out. If you're someone who grew up in the 70s, let me know if there's obviously things that I missed out. Obviously let me know at the end of the video. And yeah, that's pretty much it. My parents both would have grown up in the 70s because they were born 1970 and 1971, so this is the perfect video for them. But it's not for them because it's for me. But yeah, we're going to check this out. Hopefully you're going to enjoy. Links are in the description to my Patreon if you want to see some more of my reactions. Also in the description to this channel, or to this video, where you can find the channel if you want to see this channel. But yeah, let's jump into this.
For those of you who grew up in the 70s, it was the sweetest time to be alive. This was an era in which many of us spent time in a wood-paneled, shag-carpeted rec room where we listened to 8-track tapes. It was also the decade of polyester and bell-bottom jeans, of Watergate and the end of the Vietnam War, and the beginning of summer blockbuster movies. Let's take a step back and look into some of those quintessential moments of growing up in the 1970s. Shag carpeting really did look hideous, but it was also surprisingly comfortable on bare feet. After all, you could lay on the carpet and make angel patterns on the living room floor. Beyond the soft touch, it also came in a variety of earthy shades, from rust orange and moss green to sunshine yellow and sky blue. On top of those shag carpets were most likely couches or decorative pillows upholstered in big floral prints. Let's also not forget about the macrame owl you had hanging around the house too.
A macrame owl. What would that be for? Is it just for like decoration?
This decade will always be remembered for the very first
Pong.
home video game, Pong. That's because this two-dimensional game, which was released by Atari in 1972 as a stand-up arcade, was a game changer. It was meant to be a computerized version of table tennis, which involved a white dot slowly bouncing back and forth between two white lines, known as paddles. If you loved playing Pong, then you most certainly remember destroying enemy ships in the arcade game Space Invaders, which was released later in the decade.
People still play that at like arcades now, don't they? Space Invaders. That's like probably what the most classic game of all time. And then what led from that is all the stuff that we have now. Crazy to think.
One of the most popular toys of the time was something called clackers.
Are they when you try and make them hit together or something?
Two heavy balls attached to a string that you banged together to make noise.
Oh.
They actually turned out to be quite dangerous and were eventually banned.
Why are they so dangerous? What, because they're so heavy? And if you hit someone with them, maybe.
There's also no doubt you begged your parents for $4.
Bro, this pet rock stuff, I cannot understand it. You know what, whatever floats your boat, you know, a pet rock.
So that you could buy a pet rock. You got to feed your pet rock, dress it up with googly eyes, and take it for a walk.
How do you feed it?
Just like a real pet.
What?
Do you remember the cool metal lunchboxes you used to carry to school? The sturdy tins protected your bologna sandwiches and were often decorated with cartoons, superheroes, or your favorite movie characters. And of course, don't forget the matching thermos that came with it. In the 70s, every kid seemingly wanted to look like Adam Rich from the TV show 8 is Enough.
What, with the bowl cut and stuff?
So they made their parents give them a bowl haircut. If you're unfamiliar with a bowl cut, it's exactly what it sounds like. Mom would put a bowl over your head and use scissors to cut around the edge.
Wait, was that actually what? I never had a bowl cut, but is that what happened? You'd literally have a bowl on your head. I mean, it makes sense, but surely not, because if it was a bowl cut, it'd be the same all the way around, but it's not. This is like quite uneven.
The resulting distinctly 70s haircut
Oh, I guess you can put the bowl like sort of leaning though, can't you? Oh, actually, that does make sense then.
Made it seem like you were wearing a salad bowl as a hat. But if it was good enough for baseball player Pete Rose and Olympic figure skater Dorothy Hamill, it was good enough for anyone.
So you went from that to then like the bangs and like the curly hair bangs and the mullets and stuff the decade later. So this generation then grew up into people that wanted mullets. God, they loved hairstyles. The 70s generation loved the hairstyle.
Who could forget the educational animated shorts that popped up during your usual Saturday morning cartoon lineup? Without you realizing, Schoolhouse Rock taught you timeless lessons about grammar, math, politics, and science. The cartoons were funny, and the songs were catchy. I'm sure you can still sing the whole Conjunction Junction, What's Your Function song without missing a beat. The biggest 70s fashion accessory was the mood ring, which
The mood ring. I've seen these before. My mum had one. They change colour depending on your mood. I mean, I don't actually know how they actually change colour. I guess it's just to do with heat. But I remember my mum had one of these and I was always so fascinated by them.
was a ring that could recognize your emotional state. Blue meant you were calm or relaxed. Amber meant you were nervous or anxious. And black? Well, that meant you were about to lose your temper. To calm yourself down, you may have relaxed on your bed and read the latest issue of Tiger Beat magazine. The original teen pop culture magazine was also full of posters that kids plastered their bedroom walls with. At school, especially during gym class, you wouldn't be caught dead without a classy pair of tube socks.
What? But I thought these are just like sport socks. People would wear socks this high. What the hell?
At the time, it was quite the fashion statement. If those socks reached all the way up to your knees, even better.
Oh wow.
Rarely in the history of fashion has a clothing style been universally accepted by both men and women. But that was the case, especially with the shortest of shorts and colorful striped tube socks.
What the hell? Just long ass socks with stripes to the top.
All it took was one seriously terrifying movie, Steven Spielberg's Jaws, to keep an entire generation of children out of the ocean. Jaws made its big screen debut in the summer of 1975, terrifying a nation with a 25-foot mechanical shark, and crystallizing the concept of a summer blockbuster. It made children and adults alike scan the water for signs of a shark fin anytime they were near the ocean.
That's probably a good thing. I mean, that's definitely a good thing, but did it really scare generations? Like, would there, if you grew up in this era and you saw that film, would you have been afraid to go in the water? I guess the US is different though, because there's like a chance of a shark attack happening to you, because I guess sharks are just a lot more prevalent in US waters because it's a lot more. I just associate with tropical. Like sharks probably just in more tropical oceans and stuff, and the ocean's just huge as well. So I guess the chances are just higher, but
When Star Wars first hit movie theaters in 1977, it was unlike anything the world had ever seen. It was immersive, and the special effects were groundbreaking. If you ask anyone who saw the original Star Wars in theaters about their experience, they'll probably be able to tell you every little detail, right down to how long they waited in line. For many kids, Star Wars defined their childhood. Kids were absolutely obsessed with the movie franchise, and they wanted every Star Wars toy that was released. Do you remember learning how to do the hustle for the very first time?
the hustle.
The song came out in 1975, and everyone immediately wanted to learn the dance. The YMCA and the chicken dance
Of course, the YMCA.
also originated during this time, and they too led to crazes that saw everyone performing the dances together.
YMCA.
In the 1970s, music was everything. You wouldn't just fan over your favorite bands,
That's one big ass David Bowie fan.
Play their records on repeat and tape their faces all over your bedroom walls. You may have also grown to love 8-track tapes. These devices gained steadily in popularity because you could take them with you, and many car makers even included an 8-track tape player in new models of their cars. This meant you could listen to whatever you wanted while you cruised the streets of your hometown. They weren't the most user-friendly audio formats, but boy, you sure did love them. Every decade has its top music genre, and in the 70s, disco reigned supreme.
Disco. I get confused. I think I meant disco, I'm not going to lie.
If you were brave enough to go to an actual disco, you could get down to the sounds of Casey and the Sunshine Band, the Bee Gees, and the Tramps. Even the Rolling Stones released a disco track to get in on the trend.
Oh, damn.
If that wasn't enough disco for you, you could even strap on some skates and head over to the roller disco. These fast-paced parties would be complete with shiny outfits, bright lights, and of course, groovy tunes. TVs in the 1970s weren't nearly the high-definition entertainment centers they are today. You were lucky if you had decent reception, meaning no fuzzy screens or zigzag lines. Otherwise, you'd have to fidget with the rabbit ear antennas until you got a clear picture.
Antennas? I forgot about those. Are they even used anymore? Are they just like outside your homes now? So it just automatically like connects to your TV or something? Because my TV, it's not connected to anything. So yeah, I assume there's just antennas on the outside of the house or whatever, where they just have the signal. God, it's weird because it's so different. It's so much easier now, but...
And forget about late night talk shows and around-the-clock programming. If you turned on the TV after midnight, all you'd see is a test card of color bars.
What the hell? So no programs after 12.
Speaking of television, for teens, Happy Days was the coolest of shows, but adults also had to get a weekly dose of the TV show MASH. There were other popular shows, of course, like The $6 Million Man and Charlie's Angels, which contributed to 1970s pop culture in their own way.
I don't know.
You may also remember staying up to watch some of the very first episodes of Saturday Night Live. This was back when cast members like Chevy Chase, John Belushi, and Gilda Radner were at their best, making the entire country laugh together.
Is this when SNL was at its peak? When it started? Because I feel like when it started, it probably was at its peak, just because it was so new. Crazy to think that it's been going on for what, 45 plus years now, maybe even 50 years? Mental.
A 1970s party would never be complete without a cheese log or a cheese ball.
What?
These must-have snacks involved shredded cheddar, cream cheese, butter, and chopped nuts for rolling.
What the hell?
Another 70s food gem was launched by Betty Crocker in 1971 called Hamburger Helper. This easy-to-make hearty dinner fed millions of us with just a box of pasta, powdered sauce, and a pound of ground beef.
So this is the beginning of what, like quick ready meals, I guess? When were ready meals first created, actually? What was the first ready meal? Because it can't have been that much further than what, probably like actually, they probably took them... I mean, I don't even know. I'm thinking to World War II, but that wouldn't be a ready meal. It's just a meal kept in the tin. That's not a ready meal. So when would ready meals have become a thing? Because this isn't really a ready meal either. It's just flavouring. That's weird. I don't know. I might have to search it after this video.
Even if you didn't care much for politics in the 1970s, everyone was talking about Watergate. Each night, the evening news reported new details of the scandal, and seeing Richard Nixon leave the White House forever as he boarded a helicopter was one of the most surreal moments of the 1970s, regardless of what side you were on. The 70s are filled with many fond memories, all of which take us back in time to a place that is familiar, but fading. The fads and crazes are fun to reflect upon, so let me know in the comments your own memories of growing up in the 1970s.
And yeah, let me know your thoughts as well, because it's interesting to see people's times, basically, like how it was for them growing up in this era. I could be out on my own during the summer, wandering hills, going miles to town, swimming in the surf, gone for 12 hours with no contact with my mother, who had no idea where I was or what I was doing. And there was no cause for concern. That was just normal childhood then, yeah. Yeah, I can't relate, but that does seem pretty good. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this reaction. Hopefully it brought some good memories back for you. And yeah, like I said, let me know your thoughts. And until next time, like, subscribe. Peace.